Okay, here's one for you. So that, my friends, is a Chilean wine palm, my favorite kind of plant on the entire planet. Just absolutely love them. Been promoting them my whole life. And this is the property that my wife and I were fortunate enough to barely be able to purchase about 25 years ago. Probably couldn't do it now. But reason it's so cheap is it's so hilly. You can only build one house here, and many people see this extra land as a liability. I saw it as an asset. Anyway, so 25 years ago, before we could even afford to hire an architect or anything, I came up here and planted Chilean wine palm seeds all over the property. And 25 years later, here's the biggest one of all. Now, this tree has never seen a drop of supplemental irrigation. The avocado trees get a little water over there, but not here. This is a dry spot. So it's never, ever had irrigation. We've had the driest I believe the last 20 years have been the driest on history in California, even with tree rings for a 1,000-year period back. And this tree is still able to sustain itself just from winter rains, even when they're almost non-existent like last year. We've had a pretty bad drought last 2 years here. And it's still thriving. Not only is it thriving, but look, it's green all the way down to the bottom. It's just amazing. So anyway, but what's interesting too, this is the biggest one of all here. It's about 5 feet tall. And I'll show you some more. And the really interesting thing about this is that these things they don't sprout all at once. They might sit in the ground for 10, 15, 20 years before they sprout. So it really makes you wonder. People say, how long do palms live? Well, it's hard to say. Here's a smaller one. This one's about 1.5 feet tall. That's also 25 years old. Now look over here. This one has only about 4 or 5 blades. It is just starting to split its blades. See this? The splitting? And that plant right there is only 1 foot tall. And it also is 25 years old from when it was planted as a seed. And I'm seeing a few more over here. Keep wandering around. Of course, all my trees I plant over here are dead for whatever reason. Probably neglect, because I'm too busy working on your gardens to work on my own. And look at that. Another one right there. The tree that was here is dead, but the wine palm, no problema. That one's about 1.5 feet tall, also 25 years old. And you can see it's holding its foliage green. Everything it's ever put up is green. And so just so unbelievably adapted for here, even with our extreme droughts. So wandering further down the hill, down the staircase of railroad ties I got for free somewhere long ago. Come over here. I saw another one right over here. Isn't it fun? It's just popping up. They're going to be naturalizing in 1,000 years. Lafayette, California is going to be a hotbed of Chilean wine palms, because these things will eventually flower and fruit and grow all over the region here, all because of my exploits. So saw another one, but the interesting thing about this, well, there's a lot of things that are interesting about the fact that these plants can just survive on their own without any irrigation whatsoever in a really Mediterranean climate where you can only expect rain or hope for rain 5 months of the year, from November through April, I guess. Maybe that's 6 months. But totally adapted for here. But the other thing that's really interesting is like the fact that they sporadically germinate even a quarter century later. Look at this. This is 25 years old. All it is 3 blades. 1, 2, 3. And so this thing must have sat here for all that time, and it just now decided to germinate. I had these seeds in my garage in a big bucket for about 6 or 7 years. And I pulled them out. I was going to throw them away, thinking they weren't good to eat. I kept them because I wanted to eat them Never ate them. And then I cracked one open. Even though the endocarp, the fruit on the outside, was nasty, the inside was perfect and delicious and, just like a typical fresh Chilean wine palm nut. So I thought, oh, wow. So I cleaned them all, and I shelled them. And then they were in my freezer for like 2 more years. And so, and they were great. So they last an incredibly long time for the fruit quality, the nut quality. But more importantly, they sit in the ground for who knows how long. I mean, some of them are just germinating now after 25 years in the ground. What causes that? I don't know. But then it makes you wonder, okay, suppose a plant's been there for 25 years and it's just not growing. It's just sitting there. How long can it do that? And when it finally breaks out of that mode, then it starts its 400-year process of becoming a big, giant old tree. So what I'm thinking is the aging of palms, with my experience of watching little seedlings sit there forever, not doing a thing, and then finally when conditions are good and you dump a bunch of water on them, then they take off and really start their natural progression or their aggressive progression. And but I think these trees can sit around and wait in a juvenile state for a century before they really get going, or maybe longer. I don't know. I mean, these trees could be you can't age these palms. There's no tree rings like there are with cambium woody trees. So people think that these wine palms last 200, 300, 400 years maybe. They could last much longer than that, I think. So anyway, just food for thought. That's my wine palm. That's my story for the day.